Arthur Hill said, you know, we need a hall, but I want to pay for a hall that can fit the entire student body. But it's got to have acoustics so good that the president can speak unamplified from the stage.
The Michigan campus has spectacular spaces, and I think Hill Auditorium represents the heart and soul of those spaces.
The building was designed by Albert Kahn of Detroit, and he had the good sense and intelligence to hire an acoustician. A gentleman named Hugh Talent from New York City had designed 2 or 3 movie theaters in the Broadway area, and at the time that the building opened, it housed an audience of 5,000. But you'd want to be able to speak to 5,000 and have all 5,000 people hear what you're saying on the stage. If you look at the plan of the auditorium, it's basically shaped like a megaphone, with the mouthpiece of the megaphone being in the center of the stage.
When I was a lobby attendant there, my buddy Mike Collins and I, who got me the job, he would be on the stage, I could be in the first balcony, and we can talk like this. It is perfect.
Students would get together there for big sings. They would sing together. That was a principal source of student entertainment around the time of World War I, the 1920s.
And you think of how our greatness in football has so much to do with the size of this stadium. Our greatness in the arts has a lot to do with that vision of Hill, of Charlie Sink, and of course the talent of Albert Kahn and the acoustical engineer Hugh Talent, the best in the world at the time. These 2 guys got together and created the Big House for the Arts. And when I think of the artists that we've brought, the vision of a Charlie Sink back in the early part of the teens, how do we celebrate Hill? We get the greatest singer in the world to come here, Enrico Caruso. And when I think of the impact of that artist at that time, the greatest singer in the world coming to this little town, but singing in this magnificent hall, really put us on the map as a destination for great music.
When our students come to the stage, not only is it amazing acoustically and to be able to perform for a tremendous audience, but when they think about the legacy of the great vocalists, the great orchestras who have been on that stage, when you stride onto a stage that has that history, that legacy, it empowers and informs your own performance.
I was an usher at the University Musical Society for 4 years, from freshman to senior year. And I heard so many wonderful concerts. I heard Vladimir Horowitz play the piano. I heard the Philadelphia Orchestra conducted by Eugene Ormandy. Leonard Bernstein came to town many times.
In fact, when he was about to go out on his 70th birthday tour in 1988, a year before, 30 cities were competing to have Bernstein come with the Vienna Philharmonic. I got down on my knee and looked Mr. Bernstein in the eye, and I said, Mr. Bernstein, we want to have you back next year. And these are his exact words. He said, Ken, I love this town, I love the people of this town, and I love this hall. We'll be back. And 2 weeks later, the 4 cities on the tour were identified: New York, Washington, Toronto, and Ann Arbor.
When I go in, and I know students probably feel this too, that I'm going into not only a wonderful venue, but a historic place that not only has hosted great music, but also has hosted great individuals who have helped make this country what it is.
When you go in there, you just feel the history. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr., people who've stood at that lectern and have been there.
The auditorium was being built. The gift had been made by Arthur Hill, and the university was building this spectacular auditorium. And so it was scheduled to open in 1913, and the class of 1913 said, we want to make a gift. They worked with Albert Kahn, the designer of the building. They had this lectern built. It's a piece of art. It's a large oak lectern inscribed on the very front, 1913.
I was doing some genealogical research and determined that my grandfather, John D. LaRue, graduated from the College of LS&A in 1913. So in a way, it's kind of poetic that I'm charged with taking care of it, and I feel that it's kind of like I'm doing something good for the memory of my grandfather.
Think of the hands that have clutched that lectern. You've got William Howard Taft, not just the president, but the Supreme Court Chief Justice. You've got Robert Frost, who was here on campus for a little while, of course. You've got Desmond Tutu, I believe. MLK Martin Luther King Jr. has clutched that. That's not a bad little list.
Here, on the cusp of the rest of your life, you are going to hear the best minds and hear the great debates. You're going to see public fights take place, conflicts over great issues and ideas. That's another terribly important function that the university fulfills, and it is symbolized by the lecture series, all of the talks and speeches that take place at a place like Hill.
You're getting individuals from very different perspectives, from very different cultures, and you're able to talk with them. And it's just a thrill, actually, talking to some of these people. I mean, you've read about them, you've maybe had some of their research and your own research, and then all of a sudden there they are. And it's a great thrill.
University is the marketplace of ideas, and that you can sit in this great hall and hear speakers of all political ilks, of all types of fields in society. You can see different performances that make you think, that make you laugh, that make you cry. I mean, it's really sort of this crucible of what a university is.
It's kind of a hallowed place on the university campus that continues to be just as influential today as it was, 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Made possible by the Stanley and Judith Frankel Family Foundation.